Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be an update on my recovery for my eating disorder of bulimia. I've been really vocal and vulnerable about this whole entire situation that I've been through because it's necessary to be vulnerable on the situation because I've clearly been through it so that I can help others. That's why we go through situations, so that we can share our testimony and we can give other people who are going through the same situation tips and tricks on how to overcome so that they too can overcome like you did. I'm currently dwindling down on Vyvanse. I was on 50 milligrams for a while, but now I'm starting to slowly dose off of it because I just think that it's time. I was on 50 milligrams, but now I'm on 40, and then I'm gonna take that for like a month or two, and then I'm gonna go down to 30, and then so on and so forth until I'm just off of it completely. For a long time, I took on the identity of my parents who eat when they're stressed or eat when they are going through something and eat through some things, and I've taken that identity and I've taken what I've been through and I've put it together, and it just created a habit and a characteristic in me that just I refuse to accept. And it took a long time to realize it, and it took a long time to fight it and get rid of it, and I'm still in the process of getting rid of it because it's an everyday battle and it's an everyday struggle, but I refuse to lose, and I will do anything and everything I can to get rid of this and to fight my battles and to share my testimony with others so that you too can get to that place and that point as well. I no longer eat my feelings as the main reason for my binging. Now it's just a habit that I'm breaking that I've been following for so long. And bad habits are so hard to break, especially if you've been going through it for such a long time. And it was very few times that I actually binged due to my feelings. I rarely binge anymore, but when I do binge, there's either two outcomes. I either resist it and I rebuke that thought and that feeling, and I just give it up to God, and I just I'm like, no, I refuse to go back to that, and I refuse to accept that. But I'm human. We make mistakes, and sometimes we fall into the temptation and we fall into that old mindset and we fall victim to it. So yes, it's inevitable and it's going to happen, but it's how you get back up after that fall that makes you who you are, and it makes you resilient and makes you a force to be reckoned with. When I'm in those moments of the thoughts of, ooh, maybe I should just tempt into eating extra, or ooh, maybe I should just do this, there's always two outcomes. It's either because my body actually needs it from the stresses I put on my body every single day from workouts and my everyday life, and the other outcome is the enemy trying to tempt me back to going back to who I used to be. And sometimes it's hard to discern which it is if you're not clearly there, and sometimes in those moments my mind gets foggy and I have no place of discerning because I'm just like focusing on that one thing. So it is hard, and I learn every day and I grow every day on how to discern the difference between my voice, my flesh, God's voice, and the enemy's voice, and it's just a lot to deal with and it's a lot to discern. But from my recent encounter with this little temptation that I gave into, I was speaking to my mom about it, and she was like, when you get into those temptations, in those moments of temptations, all you have to do is pray without ceasing. And I was telling her, I was like, when I'm in those moments, I don't want to talk to nobody, I don't want to pray, I don't want to do nothing. And she was like, well, pray without ceasing doesn't actually mean to pray to God and talk to God, and it means that you can like worship and you can listen to praise music and you could just like sing and do other things to occupy and to flood his voice into your head, so that the voice of the temptation just like floods out. Because when the enemy does come to put things into your head and to try to make you go back to who you used to be, what you need to do is rebuke him and not even allow him to even come into your mind, not even acknowledge him. Because what you're doing is, when you even acknowledge his voice, you're bringing him up to your level and you're bringing him into your brain so that he could talk into you. But if you leave him down at his level, he can't get to you. And quite frankly, I feel like the attacks have been happening more often now than before, because things are happening in my life and I'm slowly becoming who God told me I was going to be, and I'm receiving all that he promised me, and it's just, the enemy doesn't want me to become who I am. He sees me as a threat, and he doesn't want me to come forth and bring forth and do all it is that's within me, and he's trying to stop me, and he's trying to do anything that he can to stop me from even doing it. He wants me to live in shame, and he wants me to live back in who I used to be, and I refuse to allow that to happen. And it's an everyday battle, and the spiritual warfare that I'm going through is just like really, really crazy, and it's really, really tough, and it's really, really hard, and it's just going attack after attack after attack after attack. And I just sometimes I feel like I'm just like, oh my god, I get overwhelmed. I'm like, how the heck do I get through this? It's just like attack after attack, and I just feel like I'm overwhelmed, like I can't do it. But then I have to remember that all I have to do is just pray and like give God all of my anxieties and give God all of my issues, and he'll just give me the strength to get through. And sometimes I am in that mindset, and I'm like, yes, I can do it, and I prevail, and I keep going. But then sometimes it's just like, because we're human. We are human. You're bound to do that. You're bound to be like, I'm just done. And you just give into the temptation. You give into your old habits. But you can't stay down like that, and you can't be so harsh on yourself. You have to learn how to be nicer to yourself, and you have to learn how to forgive yourself, just like God has forgiven you. And a lot of the times we struggle to forgive ourselves because of the perception that the world has given us of who God was, and we think that God is always gonna like shun us or like be angry at us or condemn us, when that's not really his true nature. And I'm still learning how to break that mold off of who God is, because when you have that perception of God, that's how you perceive yourself, and that's how you perceive the things that you're going to receive. Because if you can't even receive his forgiveness, you're not even going to forgive yourself. So you really need to change your perception on who God is and who you are in God and who God is in you, so that you can actually receive all it is that he's trying to give you. And I'm still in the process of learning that. It's so hard to break out of that. It really is. What you need to do is celebrate the victories that you accomplish. Celebrate the little things that you learn along the way. And when you fall down, you learn from falling down. You learn and you gain something new, so that the next time you get the temptation, or the next time that this situation arises, you just stop and you're like, no, I learned from the last time. You're not going to get me this time. So every time that I learn, I try to have that perception of, what is it that you're trying to teach me, God? Or what is it that you're trying to help me understand or learn, so that I can do better the next time? Because clearly I didn't have any insight as to how to beat it at this level. Because every level that you go up to, there's going to be another devil to fight, and it's up to you to understand and to take away all the things that you've learned from the past battles and bring it into the next battle, so that you can fight and you can win. You feel me? We were all given a thorn to keep us humble, and to stop us from being so proud and prideful of all it is that we are and all it is that we have. And I truly do believe that this eating disorder is my thorn, and it definitely does keep me humble, and definitely does keep me on my toes and not so prideful. And it's my duty to share my testimony, and to share how I get through, and to share my journey along this whole entire process of recovery. And sometimes you fall into temptation, and it's up to me to share that, so that other people don't feel like they're the only ones going through it, because you don't go through things alone. You're not the only one that goes through things that you go through. You may feel like it, but that's not how it happens. We all go through something. It's up to us to open our mouths to share our testimony, and open our mouth when we are struggling, so that we can receive the help. Because you never know who you open your mouth to, and your thoughts, and you become vulnerable with. You never know what the person that you're opening up to has to give to you. But you need to be open and vulnerable in order to receive it. And I realize that every time we have a goal, we always look at the end result. And every time that we look at the end result, we get overwhelmed, and it's like we look at where we are, and then we look at our goal, and we just it's just such a distance, and we get overwhelmed. And then with the overwhelmed, we just stay stagnant, or we just stay paralyzed, and we don't even do anything that we're supposed to be doing. But in order to not get stagnant or not get paralyzed from the big jump of where we are and where we are perceiving that we can be, and where God told us that we're going to be, we need to take baby steps. And you need to celebrate the little baby steps, the little victories that you need to do, and do the little things that you need to do in order to get to that place, because it's in baby steps that you get to the end goal. Celebrate every step that you take, and every victory that you get, and every little piece of wisdom that you get from the downfalls and when you fall down and when you fail, you learn from those moments. And when you change your perspective on learning from your failures and not just be like, I'm a failure and that's just that. When you change your perspective, that's when you start to grow and evolve and become a better version of yourself. And it's just so important to just keep on going, even if you stumble, even if you fall. It's life. You're gonna go through hard times, but it's how you get up from that hard time and from that fall that makes you who you are. If you're currently going through having an eating disorder, if you're in the process of recovery, just know that you need to be nicer to yourself, that recovery doesn't happen overnight, and it's in the little steps that you take to recovery that you're gonna get better and you're gonna be the person that you're meant to be. But it's up to you to be able to be vulnerable and open up and to share what it is that you've learned and share when you're struggling. You have to be able to be open because we're meant to be in a community. We're meant to be in a community. We're not meant to be alone in our pain and our depression and our struggles, because you never know when you open up to someone what they will give you so that they can feed into you and you could just be like, oh my gosh. Don't allow the enemy to keep you isolated, because it's when you're isolated that you can't receive the help that you need to grow and become all it is that you need to be. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video, and I'll see you in the next video.